represent you, making a difference together. We're here together to make a difference.
It just goes to show you that when you combine these sorts of interests, fashion and fighting poverty, it really does work.
Everyone should support the United Nations and the work that's happening. We need a lot more consciousness about ending extreme poverty in this country.
It's just a testament to how wide-reaching the UN is and how it has a role to play.
If we try to isolate ourselves, we're kidding ourselves.
Is it an effective body?
No. I think the Security Council is terribly effective unless all five agree.
I think our country, I live here, has not really played the kind of role that it should have.
Good evening. My name is Barry Simon. I'm here with the United Nations Association of the National Capital Area and Fashion Fights Poverty. This is the second year of the Fashion Fights Poverty event, bringing designers together from around the world to display their wares. Tonight's event will benefit Bead for Life, a Uganda, U.S.-based organization dedicated to social responsibility and creating a more sustainable world for all people. And it's a real honor and privilege to be here tonight at Fashion Fights Poverty as part of the 61st anniversary of the United Nations Week. Tonight you'll have an opportunity, and the guests here tonight will have an opportunity to come up to our microphone and express their views about what the UN is, what the UN isn't, what it could be, what it should be, how it can really come together to create a better world and fulfill its mission of creating a better world for all people.
I'm the president of the UN Association in Washington, D.C. It's the largest chapter of the UN Association of the USA across the whole country. We have 1,400 members. This evening of Fashion Fights Poverty is one of the culminating events of the United Nations Week that we organize every year on the occasion of the celebration of the entry into force of the United Nations Charter in 1945. And that's what's so exciting about Fashion Fights Poverty. We're bringing together this evening the world of high fashion and all the glitz that goes with that, with the United Nations and with the values that that represents. Fighting poverty is central to the United Nations.
This is the second year where UNANCA is a co-sponsor of Fashion Fights Poverty.
We're here with Paula Boland, the Executive Director of the United Nations Association of the National Capital Area at Fashion Fights Poverty.
Our mission is to promote productive U.S. involvement in the international community. And in doing so, in the National Capital Area, we work closely with foreign policy makers, political decision makers, universities, students, and other organizations to promote better understanding of the United Nations and its work and the work of its agencies around the world. The biggest challenge that we face is we need to do a better job in educating Americans about not just why the U.S. is important for the UN, but more importantly, why the United Nations is important for the United States.
Yes.
It's important for Americans.
I think the UN could be more effective if it focused its mission on dealing with certain actionable goals that can really be solved, as opposed to having a mandate to fix all of the world's problems.
I'm glad it's there.
Glad it's there, absolutely.
And you know, whatever bad it does, then it does good stuff. And we don't know all the good stuff it does.
We're here with Taisha Adams with the United Nations Association of the National Capital Area. Taisha, I understand you're up to some amazing things in the area of education in particular. Give us some sense of what you're up to.
Well, we are working with all of the DC public high schools, and we are utilizing the Model United Nations as a vehicle to teach international affairs in the high schools and internationalize our high schools so that hopefully we can build and create global citizens that are active and knowledgeable and connected more so, and more importantly.
I think that it's really important for Americans to understand that there's a United Nations outside of New York, and to really get to know the real United Nations that people in so many other countries know, which is providing development and security, UN peacekeeping missions, helping orphans, helping stem the tide of HIV/AIDS around the world, and bringing security and democracy to so many places. And I hope that Americans can hopefully learn that lesson and understand that the United Nations is really an important part of America's broader national security interests.
The reason the United Nations is so important is that most everyone in the world thinks we should be able to get along together.
we're here tonight in part because a project was going on in a part of Africa among women to empower them through small business, and this whole evening is dedicated to helping them enhance their work.
This event actually benefits your organization.
It absolutely does. People here are coming together to fight extreme poverty, and Bead for Life works with women in Uganda who are living on less than $1 a day. So we're all about helping people lift their families from poverty by rolling beads out of recycled paper. We do try and make connections between the women we work with and the billion people living in poverty worldwide, and the UN's doing a terrific job and bringing a lot of leadership into fighting poverty.
We're just ecstatic that it was so successful. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. The models back there are so happy. The designers are happy. We're all going to be happy. Fashion Fights Poverty. It's a UNA. It's just as much about part of UNA as it is a part of my company, Style and Image Network. This is always going to be part of UNA, part of UN Week. And that's primarily because UNA believes in expanding the dialogue and sharing the participation in United Nations policy and what it is to be a citizen of the United Nations, to not just people on the Hill, not just people in think tanks, not just people who work at the UN, but to everyday citizens, everyday consumers, everyday shoppers. Everyone here tonight will hopefully become a UNA member. If nothing else, you now have about 300-400 more people who will potentially one day be UNA cohorts.
This is Barry Simon, coming to you live from the Carnegie Library, the completion of Fashion Fights Poverty, the completion of the 61st Anniversary Week festivities for the United Nations Association of the National Capital Area. We're having an amazing time this week in Washington. Many thanks to the wonderful people at the UNA NCA, Ann Griffiths and her co-chair, all the people, Paula Boland, Ed Elmendorf, Dick Griffiths, all the people that helped put this week together for the UNA NCA to make it an amazing week. You guys all doing phenomenal work. The UNA all over the world is making a huge difference, and I invite anyone out there that's not a part of the UNA in your area, go to unausa.org, find out about how you can participate in making the world a better place for all people. The UNA and the United Nations are committed to that, making the world a better place for all people such that no one is left behind. Thank you for joining us. Take care of yourself. God bless you. Be well.